I finally can go
So,
live. I crochet
DJ
my
said he
ski mask
okay.
for my Halloween.
Took her to Kylie Jenner party. He was the reason why she got there.
And I'm watching some
Kylie's a good
Tasha
friend of
K.
his, okay? Client too. And decided to take Meg
So
to the
we're
party.
gonna
Now, he
meet
always know how
all
Meg
black
is acted, okay? He described that in court. Meg is very aggressive, very, she's chastising when she gets drunk.
This is
You know
also
what I'm saying?
gonna
She
be a
feels just
ski
kind of
mask,
mean.
but
You know,
for later,
alcohol brings
because
out different
my
spirits,
energy's been
okay?
telling me
It brings
that
out my inner
purple is
spirit.
the color
It's
right
what
now.
it is.
So I'm gonna make this later. Really excited. Where's my hook? Must be over here. There we go. So I made this last time. We're just gonna make another one like this, but smaller. We do have some yarn in here.
Have you a little bit more gorilla than I normally am on a normal day, okay? So that's why we do it. All right. Now, of course you heard EJ talk about, we talked about, on various media outlets that, she made a smart remark to Kylie saying, I'm so glad that you didn't turn out to be a lady because I'm going to work. She is feisty. She likes to go with horses. She likes to chastise. She likes to become angry, okay? And so after she had gotten shot and stuff, now mind you, he tried to make her leave the party. She didn't want to leave, but finally they got me out the party. It was Corey Gamble that put him out of the party. It wasn't Kylie Jenner. It was Corey Gamble. That's why they had Corey up on the stand. I mean, that's why they had him on the witness list. But he ended up not testifying because they had enough, so they didn't need him, right? But they were just making sure to cover all their bases.
Texas mom shoots her 4 kids, says she had to ill them.
She was once on the reality show Paternity Court, trying to figure out who the father was of one of her children. This image is her Paternity Court's YouTube channel. Now, this mom is accused of the unthinkable, allegedly shooting 4 of her kids, killing 2 of them. What we're learning about her past, from her time on Paternity Court, to what she said about parenting just a couple of weeks ago. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
There we go. Appreciate everybody that's on here. Appreciate the people who will stay. And those who leave, I appreciate you for coming in. We are gonna make my Halloween outfit. Well, not my whole outfit, but we're gonna make part of it. And I am making the ski mask part of it because this year I'm gonna be a ninja. So yeah, and I'm also watching a YouTube video, so I'll just be crocheting for everybody who is new to watching me. Appreciate you. I like to crochet and just watch my show, and then I like to comment and just live my little life. And then if you enjoy it, you can. If you're not, then that's okay, but I appreciate you for coming, and I hope you have a great day. So watch me crochet.
2 other children were injured. They are now in stable condition. They are 8 years old and 9 years old. Deputies say that it's unclear if Romelis fired the gunshots in this gas station's parking lot, or did she allegedly do it somewhere else? Surveillance video allegedly shows her getting out of the car, getting gas, talking on her phone before deputies arrived. Authorities say they believe the gunshots were fired inside the car, but other than that, a lot of this is still a mystery. At a news conference on Sunday, law enforcement would not share too much detail. Here's part of what they said per Fox 26 in Houston.
Thank you for the like. Thank you for the person that's here.
Right, so I can assure you we're looking into this.
But then,
sometimes love for your cat can get lost in translation.
It's actually from the both of us.
Wellness pet food.
we received the court documents that have shown what Romelis allegedly told detectives after they took her into custody. Now, according to these court records, Romelis was asked whether she wanted to continue talking with authorities, and she said yes. Now, at first, when she was asked why she called 911, she said she couldn't talk about it. But when she was asked again about calling 911, she allegedly said, quote, "Instead of them doing it to me, I'm going to do it to them. Then, when the investigator asked, quote, do what? Romelis allegedly said, quote, kill them all. Romelis then said she didn't call 911. She allegedly said she called, quote, the devil. As Romelis continued talking, she said that she was ready to work, which detectives write in the court document that it just didn't make sense. Romelis did allegedly say that she had 4 children and said their names and their ages correctly, but when asked where they were, she allegedly said, quote, the devil. When asked what she meant by that, she said, quote, they're dead. And quote,
I've got to pull it back. It's acting stubborn.
At their news conference, deputies would not discuss anything related to the custody of the children or family situation involving these children before the shooting. But we have learned that the question of paternity with at least one of these children, it has been raised before. In fact, it was raised very publicly on a TV show called Paternity Court. The episode is still public on YouTube. Now, the episode was about learning who the father was of an 18-month-old boy. Now, it is unclear if that child is one of the victims in this case, but his age does match up with the age of the 13-year-old who was killed. That boy found slumped over inside the car, according to deputies when they arrived at that gas station. Before I get back to this episode of On the Case, which is one of the most watched shows on YouTube, I need to stop and talk about our partner, Morgan & Morgan. We're talking about America's largest injury law firm with more than 1,000 attorneys and a history of winning. And they won a lot. They've recovered over $25 million from more than 500,000 clients. In the past few months, a client in Florida received $12 million after the insurance company offered just $350,000. In Pennsylvania, a client was awarded $26 million. That is 40 times the insurer's $650,000 offer. Another client in Pennsylvania received $29 million after being offered only $500,000. Now, even if you don't think your case is worth millions of dollars, why not fight for what you deserve? Morgan makes it so easy to start a claim. You can do it with just 8 clicks on your phone. So if you've been injured and you need to start a claim, go to www.forthepeople.com/OTC. You can also scan this QR code on your screen or click the link below.
Look, I have comments.
We also found an Instagram page that appears to show.
Thank you for the 2 likes. Appreciate you.
September 27th.
Right now we're highly focused.
That day in September. The video has the caption, quote, Mama gotta have a life too. Here's the caption on the post that reads, quote, because what it really do, you're not a bad B word if you're a terrible mother. To all my mama-inas handling biz and did not handle biz this week, baby, go to happy hour, bleep them kids. Deputies say they are investigating the home where Romelis and her kids lived, which was more than an hour away north of Houston in Montgomery County, Texas. It is still unclear why Romelis and her children inside that vehicle were in the county south of Houston, again, an hour away Saturday morning when she called 911 allegedly.
Off like a herd of turtles. Okay, now we are going to turn this 10 into 20.
Is set at $5 million each for each murder count and $2 million for each aggravated assault count for a total of $14 million. Law enforcement would not speculate on a motive in this case. We still don't know that. KHOU-TV is reporting that CPS has made contact with Romelis in the past, but the details of that interaction has not been made public. Now, as far as any sort of criminal record for Romelis, this mugshot is from 2022, and it was for an arrest in Georgia in Fayette County. It was related to a DUI, possession of marijuana, failure to maintain lane, and having an improper tag. Court records show that she pleaded guilty to the DUI and improper tag charges, and prosecutors decided not to pursue the 2 other charges she was facing. Joining us now to talk more about this from Texas is Anthony Asso, criminal defense attorney and a former assistant district attorney. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. I know this is an incredibly sad case. Just initially from what we've learned, and there isn't a lot from deputies, but what do you just take away about the evidence that it seems that they have to this point?
Well, I think it's largely that they're relying on the 911 call as well as probably interviews from the 2 children that survived the shooting, which, while eyewitness interviews are typically strong testimony, it's her own children, so I think that they're going to really want to work to build up more evidence that will corroborate the testimony of those 2 other children.
Yeah, and the 2 children who
close
survived
it out.
were both minors. how do you go about, I mean, from, the prosecution standpoint of making sure that you have a story that you could use in court?
All right.
Considering these kids are so young, I believe they're 8 and 9 years old.
Yep.
Okay, now we're gonna chain 2. I really wanted to. Let's see if I can tighten this even more.
Names going micro. Micro habits, micro wins, microdosed GLP ones.
I'm stuck. My weight won't budge.
Been there, but noon can help.
I'm gonna leave it.
Micro. Get started at noon.
Next time I'm just gonna have to remember. I'm just gonna have to cut
you
it.
want to find, in addition to testimonial evidence, you're going to want
Perfect.
to look
Now
for
we're gonna do the second
physical
reel.
evidence
Thank you
that
for the
can
2
corroborate
people
what
that's
happened,
still
right?
in here.
So
Appreciate
they're going to
you.
be looking at the shell casings on the scene. My understanding is that these shootings occurred at a gas station, so we're going to want to look for surveillance video to find out if there's any footage that will corroborate the child witnesses' statements, because not only are they young witnesses, but they're also the children of the defendant in this case. And so, in addition to all the emotional trauma that they're dealing with right now, when it comes down to time to potentially testify in some sort of trial setting, their emotions and feelings could be kind of up in the air.
She's being held on a $14 million bond.
Whoa.
And I know in a lot of states, and typically you don't see bond that high.
No.
How does it work in Texas where someone could actually be, and I know they broke it down with the 2 murder charges are $5 million apiece, and then the 2 aggravated assault charges with a deadly weapon, I believe it was, are $2 million apiece, bringing it to 14. How does that work in Texas?
Well, in just like any other state, Texas has to abide by the Constitution. So you can't use bail in order to oppress somebody, and everyone's entitled to bail. However, in Texas, if they put on a proof evident hearing, and I think we could anticipate that there could be a capital murder charge in this case. We don't have that much information yet, but in the event that Brazoria does file capital murder, and they did intend to seek death in this case,
Okay.
they could have a proof evident hearing and
Let's close
ultimately
it out.
hold the defendant at no bond. But without doing that, and just on murder charges,
Chain 2.
she's entitled to bail.
Boom.
And I do think that amount is high.
First
so we'll
section
likely see the
done.
defense attorney
Appreciate the one
file
person that's still in
an
here.
effort
Appreciate
to lower
you.
the bond. Still, I imagine that the bonds will be out of reach for her in these cases.
Because, and still, I mean, we haven't learned a lot about what exactly links her to this shooting. Deputies have said that they believe it happened in the car. They're still figuring out exactly where. They were asked about the murder weapon. It was unclear whether they actually have that. When it comes to a bond hearing in the short term, I mean, what would be the argument that a defense attorney could have to try and lower her bond? And also the other part of it is, what's the point of even lowering it if it would be an amount over $1 million that she might not be able to afford?
Sure, I think it's just, regardless, it's your responsibility as a woman to make the bond as low as possible in an effort to try and help her make that bond. Putting together a defense is going to be a lot more successful if you're able to communicate with your client. And the reality is if your client is in custody, that's harder. It's harder to have communication with them. I think the arguments that the defense will likely make are that she's got no criminal history, and I think that they'll probably argue her financial means in this case. But with the facts, as far as from what we've seen so far, I think the prosecution will just rely on the facts, and it wouldn't surprise me if the judge didn't budge on the bail amount in this case.
You read through some of the court documents, and she made some very bizarre, scary statements, saying things like her children are with the devil. She said, kill them all. On one hand, that could be very incriminating, but on the other hand, you would look and say that this isn't someone who maybe is in the right state of mind. How does the law see a statement like that of whether an insanity defense could be coming?
Yeah, Chris, so the law in Texas, when it comes to insanity, basically states that you have to establish that the person wasn't aware of the consequences of their actions, so they really couldn't process what they were doing at the time that the offense was committed. It's a really high standard, and you don't often see successful insanity defenses. They do occur, but it's definitely the exception to the rule. So I think statements like that are something that the defense at least would tip the defense off to explore in this case, especially when we're talking about first-degree murder charges or potentially capital murder, where a defendant faces life without parole in prison. The defense has to explore every single
second section done.
Issue the person that actually committed the offense. Was she acting in self-defense, or did she do it, but was she acting?
I've been wanting to go as a Black Widow for. I went as a Black Widow in 2021.
That avenue in this case.
What would be the
Yeah, I went as a Black Widow, and I've been wanting to go as a Black Widow again. My little nephew is gonna be Spider-Man for Halloween, and we're making his mask next week, like out of paper mache, and he's gonna color it and everything like that. But I'm thinking maybe I should make like,
disorder that could
or it's part of his outfit. I should crochet web so that he could like be like a spider. I could just crochet white like this in circles, and then like make it look like webs, and then he could be carrying like webs around his outfit. I think I'm gonna do that. Okay, this is the third row. Appreciate the 12 people that's in here. I know the number is gonna change, but still thank you. I am making my Halloween outfit, making a ski mask because I'm gonna be a ninja this year.
To conduct a similar evaluation.
Yep.
To counter that, I think the prosecution is likely going to rely on the circumstances surrounding the shooting in this case, right? The fact that Ms. Romelis left the scene is going to be something that they would rely upon to say, look, you fled in an effort to avoid getting in trouble, which goes so that you have recognition of the consequences of your actions. So it's sort of the circumstances surrounding the shooting that I think the state will heavily look.
Thank you for the 8 people that are in here.
If it was found, I'm just thinking off the top, say she's schizophrenic and she's never known that she was schizophrenic, and they find through this evaluation that she is. I mean, what's the bar, still, even if that was the case, what makes the bar so high to actually use an insanity defense?
Well, you could rely, I mean, the schizophrenic, her suffering from schizophrenia could be probative.
Excuse you. Sheesh. This wind is winding. Hey! Bring your little butt back here. Stop moving. Stop it.
That's what makes the bar.
Ah. There you go. Sheesh.
Finding an expert to testify to say, hey, look, a lot of people won't say, a lot of people won't say schizophrenia could lead to that, or could lead to you not recognizing what's going on. So it's having an evaluation that shows that, in fact, she didn't realize what she was doing at the time she shot her 2 children. So I think that's what creates a high bar.
And even beyond that, because if they file capital murder charges and say they seek the death penalty in this case because she shot 4 kids allegedly, killing 2 of them, on the flip side of it, let's say she was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Like, what would life look like for her? And I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves of where we are in this, but just thinking that one possibility could eventually be the death penalty, what would be on the flip side of that if the insanity defense actually worked out?
Yeah, that's a good question, Chris, because I think there's a general assumption that someone would then just walk free. And the reality is they don't. There's a structured period of time.
This is the third section done. Okay?
Guilty by reason of insanity, that they can still.
Now I got to do one more section, and then I will start bringing it down. One more section, and then I'll bring it down. And then I will end the live. And I'll come back. And we'll do the second part Okay, so let me do this part and then I'll end the live, okay? Okay.
Ongoing treatment.
Then I'll be back after, okay? I won't give you a time, but I'll just be back, so watch out. For the 2 people that are in here, appreciate you. I know that you are one of the, woo, 5 people now. Oh, you're breaking my heart. I appreciate you guys. Gonna finish the last section of the top, then I will get off live, then I'll come back, do the second part where we bring it down so we can put the mask down here, because I'm gonna be a ninja. Remember, for Halloween I'm gonna be a ninja. I'm so excited. I'm really freaking excited to be a ninja. Okay? Oh yeah, this is my prayer cap. All my happy thoughts, all my good vibes live up here. It's basically like a dream catcher, but it is a life catcher. All my good thoughts, all my positive energies go up here, and whenever I'm feeling like this, I put it on and I feel much better. So yeah, get you a prayer cap. It's gonna be on my website. Check out my website, okay? Appreciate you. All right, let me stop talking. Let me do the last section.
Sentences, I mean, I think we can see, and if they were to file a capital murder charge, we could easily see an offer of life without parole or a life sentence offered in this case. And so, under those circumstances, it typically leads to trials.
And yes, I know you work in Houston, and she lives in Montgomery County, which, just looking at a map, is north of the city, and then Brazoria County is south of Houston. It seems like these are, just in terms of trying to figure out exactly what happened. I mean, they say call 911 around 5 o'clock in the morning Saturday. She's at this gas station south of the city, very far away from where she lives. Just the geographic part of this, as someone who lives in Houston, what stands out to you?
Well, it's odd. I think the time of day, obviously, at that hour being, because Montgomery County and Brazoria County, specifically where Miss Romelis lived, that's about an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes away. So she's at a random gas station at 5 in the morning with all of her kids in the back seat. It leads, it's definitely, I see investigators wanting to find out more about why she was down there. And the way they're going to do that, I think, will be through cell phone examination, so they'll probably get a warrant to search that phone and talk to witnesses that may know more about her life.
And then just if I think of the defense attorney that's going to get this case, and let's say the mental health argument, the insanity defense is just not there. How do you approach this case with her and defend someone if the prosecution, it seems that they feel like they have a pretty strong case that they have the person responsible for what happened to these kids?
Well, it's hard to say what specifically a defense lawyer is going to do, without knowing the entirety of the investigation. But there's a lot of things they'll probably want to harp in on. They're going to want to listen to the statement.
Almost there.
They're going to want to look at the crime scene and look to see whether the crime.
See, one day I'm gonna make yin and yang.
Or chain of custodies when it comes to the ballistics on scene done properly. Did they do DNA in this case? And then just when you look at the big picture, trying to find the holes in the investigation where the police didn't do their job like they're supposed to. I think that would be a start. I also think that there might not be mental health issues, but there's certainly things that you could look back on and try to find about Ms. Romelis that might mitigate why she did this, right? So you're going to want to look at her childhood and kind of dig back every layer of her life to see if there's things in her life that were traumatic that might lead her to act or respond in a certain way.
Okay, here are 3 reasons why you should buy an EV raffle ticket. Reason 1, you could get your dream EV from any manufacturer for as little as $100. Reason 2.
Okay.
You are supporting an
It is done.
organization that is taking action on climate change by buying a ticket. Reason 3. If you are are not one of our lucky winners,
The next step I'm
gonna
gonna do is bring it down. I'm gonna start decreasing. So what I'm gonna do is, I have a vision. My brain has a vision. If I have white in this bag, I wanna see if I can do something, because my brain thinks I can make a Nike sign. My brain knows I can make a Nike sign. So I'm gonna do this. This is the top. I'm gonna bring it down. I'm gonna start bringing it down, and I think I'm gonna add white in it if I have white. If I don't have white, I won't add white.
Go on a show like that, and you know, is that kind of the story that a defense
Yeah.
can tell?
Okay.
Eventually
Well,
get down
next
the line.
live
This
is
one
coming,
trial
so
just
keep
going
up.
on.
Okay, we're
Yeah, I know
gonna
you
bring
work-
it
done work
down.
in this county,
We're gonna
so
bring it
this happened
down.
on Saturday,
Thank you.
October
Mwah.
4th. Now it's Tuesday, so it's been a couple